I tell you, that's power. That is the perfect divine expression of power right there. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Castle Rock, and Happy New Year. Happy New You. For it is time today to renew your subscription. Did you guys get the renewal in the mail? Did you get it hanging on your little door thingy, the doorknob? That your renewal is time, right here and right now. So I wanted to ask you, magazine subscriptions are kind of going away. They're almost becoming a thing of the past. Yet, if you still get magazines, and if you were to get a magazine, just think a minute about what kind of magazine you would subscribe to. And imagine the magazine showing up at your doorstep, showing up in your post office box or in your mailbox. I want to ask you right here, right now, what would be on the cover of that magazine? What's on the cover of the magazine known as your life? What are you subscribing to today? Because it's all starting today. I'm here to tell you. It's the first Sunday of this year. It's January. So what that means is all throughout the world, there are many New Thought ministers and speakers all coming together to start the new year off by going over the basics. And that's what we're here to do today. We're here to renew our subscription to life, and we're going to kick it off with the infinite intelligence and the divine wisdom of our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, through his first chapter in the Science of Mind text, The Thing Itself. And I wanted to also this morning welcome you and also welcome everyone that's out there watching us. And the reason why I'm doing that is I've been getting a lot of Facebook messages and emails lately of people that are going to our website and are watching our videos. And I just wanted to say welcome and hello and do a little bit of a shout out and tell you a little story of one of them that sent word into me. Her name's Marlene. So hi, Marlene. I know you're joining with us today. Marlene just recently, not too long ago, relocated from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. And she was, for many years, very engaged in their New Thought religious science community in Milwaukee. And she worked with the teens, and she met her current husband there and just absolutely loved being a part of a loving community. And she sent me this note. It was so heartfelt and so filled with love and passion and gratitude that I wanted to pass that on to you. That she recently was relocated to Rehoboth Beach. And she said there is not a Science of Mind center there. She said there's a study group, but there's not a center. And she got herself kind of caught up in the thought of oh me, oh dear me, oh poor me. I really miss my community every week, going on, missing what she was missing out on and thinking about what she was missing out on. So of course it made her feel worse. And then she said she started to do a search. And she did a search and came up with my video talk of the first week in December when we were covering oneness and the me to we. And she was so grateful because she said it inspired her and it impulsed her and motivated her. She said community is everywhere. I don't have to sit and miss my old community. I can create the community I want right here and right now where she stands. And so hats off to you, Marlene, because that's exactly what we're doing. That's what each and every one of us are doing in our own lives, in our personal lives, and in the lives of this center. We are creating the community that we desire. And I am just so happy that you are here. So let me start you off by telling you that life is not happening to you. Life is responding to you all the time, in every single circumstance, in every single celebration, and in every single problem. Life's responding to you. Dr. J. Scott Neal, one of my favorite ministers in the New Thought movement, he coined this phrase many years ago, and I absolutely love it. Your dreams are waiting for you to come true. And so that's what we're going to get into today. Your dreams are waiting for you to come true. And everything that you experience as we go through our day and our week is simply a compass. It's simply a walking path, taking you along the road of life responding to you. And just imagine the cover on that magazine that you are subscribing to. Your dreams are waiting for you to subscribe to that. So that's what we're going to get into today. God, the God that tends to be the God portrayed in big screen movies or through books or through television shows or when Morgan Freeman, whom I absolutely love, or John Denver, or let's see, who's the other one? George Burns, that's right, George Burns. Exactly. Well, that those are great representations. I'm here to tell you that the God that you think about and that shows up in your life is the God that's true for you. So the image of, and a lot of people, myself included, as a young child, a little girl, I was raised Southern Baptist, and so my vision of God was, the older guy with the long, heavy white cloak and the long beard, sitting in this big throne way up in the smoky pillow clouds of heaven, and just kind of overlooking everything and deciding, yes, that's good, no, that's not so good, yes, that's good, no, that's bad. But the beautiful part about the chapter of the thing itself is we get to dive right into God. And I'm here to tell you, as a minister, and I've been a minister for a few years, there are a lot of people out there that have a little bit of a twinge when they hear the word God. And I certainly hold that understanding and empathetic space for them. I myself went through a period of probably 10 to 12 years where I didn't say the word, didn't care for it, but I got to recreate what that meant for me. Because just like Daniel Nahmod and everybody else that sings about it and says it, you can call it whatever you will. Call it what you want, but it's one power. And that's really what we teach and what we believe here. So diving back into that concept of God, we're going to talk a little bit this morning about a little bit about going back and forth, because God to you is exactly how God is going to respond to you in your life. So if your God is the guy or the girl or whomever up in the clouds looking down and making judgments here or there or giving out rules, then that's the God of your being. And that's okay. I will say that we're here today to dive into a different experience and a different understanding. Because the only God that exists is the God that dwells within you. That oneness is you thinking as that oneness. Not you thinking about the oneness that shows up or may perceive itself, but it's you thinking as that oneness. It's kind of like as a driver. You're a driver now, and you think like a driver. When you're behind the wheel of something, you're thinking like a driver. There was a time when you weren't a driver, before you got your license, before you got the wheel, so you thought about people that drove. That was a whole different concept. So I'm inviting you to step into the concept of being that which is the divine power and consciousness that creates our experience. Life is not happening to you. It is responding to you. So it is done unto us as we believe. Our teaching starts off with that so clearly, and it will end with that always so clearly. It is done to us as we believe. What we impart becomes our reality. This infinite intelligence lives within us. It is who we are. Dr. Holmes states that this thing is so large that we can't possibly grasp all of its entirety. And so he recommends, don't even try. Don't try. There's no need to try. It's really big. But just know that this really big thing that we're talking about here, the thing itself, this really big thing is what encompasses you. It's exactly what dwells within you. It's everything in you. And it's more than you. So it's really big. And so just know that you are the individualized expression of this really big thing that most people call God or spirit or the divine, whatever you call it. Just know that you are an individualized expression of it. And there is no big thing that you're separate of that is driving your life and judging you and making it wrong or right and guiding you. It is only you doing that. That might be really good news for some of you, and that might be really bad news for some of you this morning. I'm not sure. But I do know that the day will come when we can actually begin to use this power that we know and not be afraid of it. This is from the thing itself. This is the simple meaning of true metaphysical teaching, the study of life, the nature of law, governed and directed by thought. Always conscious that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in, through, around, and for us. In, through, around, and for. That's God. There is nothing supernatural about the study of life from the metaphysical viewpoint. That which today seems to us supernatural, after it is thoroughly understood, will be found to be spontaneously natural. So the natural state of being is one of freedom. It must be made manifest when we start to use the power and understand the truth of who we are. When we understand, and I know that you can go with me on this, if you were to take on that concept of being the driver, and you're behind the wheel of the car, and you are the driver, and you show up as the driver, you're able to drive that car. When you are the divinity that you are, and you show up as the divinity that you are able to drive your life according to the dreams that are waiting for you to come true. There is a difference. Universal principles are never respecters of persons. The universe has no favorites, therefore it is written. And I love this. And let him that is at thirst come, and whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Revelations. I have a saying that I've been saying for years: you can lead a metaphysician to water, but you can't make them drink. And I have actually modified that saying this week due to my own personal transformations, and that is, you can lead a metaphysician to water, but you can't make them thirsty. You just can't make them thirsty, and that's what Revelations is saying here. When you discover that thirst, so much so, when you need to have that quenched, so much so, you will be empowered to wake up, go within, quit being afraid to feel, quit being afraid to see the truth and the light that you are, and then start becoming true to your dreams. That's how it works. And there's other people in our lives that are like that too. Aren't there people in our lives that we kind of would like to have thirsty so they'd come and drink from the well? When we want to turn on the light for other people, when we want to give them the water, when we just want them to drink. Please, God, just drink from this knowledge and this wisdom. Well, you can't make them thirsty. The truth that is guiding themselves makes them thirsty. You know, there's the idea and the saying about the prodigal son. That's why it's going on. We are all divine expressions, and we're independently free to figure that out on our own. Once again, that may be really good news, and it might not be such good news, because it means that we are left alone and we are free and independent to figure it out on our own. So I know on the first talk that I gave when I was candidating back in the park, I told you this little scenario. If you can just imagine, and of course I'm going back to the Now, it's going to look more like a chauffeur than the guy with the beard. But if you could just imagine God ringing your doorbell, and you open the door, and God standing outside of your door, and in the driveway is a stretch limo, and God says, come on, we're going for a ride. The ride's called life. And the good news is you get to choose. You get to choose the comfort and the luxury of riding within this beautiful limousine, or you can choose to be tied up to that rope that's hanging off the bumper and dragged every single way. Every single way. Now, I'm pretty sure that we aren't even aware that the limousine exists until we've been dragged a little bit behind the bumper. I know that that has been the truth for me. That's been my experience. And I know that as the dragging of the bumper has allowed for me to wake up, I've realized and seen the limousine. And then sometimes I go back to the bumper. And sometimes I go back to the limousine. And it's kind of a back and forth game, and it has been for a while. Has anybody else had that experience? Or are you all going in the limo? Did you know the limo was there? I love that feeling when we realize, oh my God, it doesn't have to be like this. I can just change my mind. I can just change my view. I can just change my experience. But you see, it's beautiful. Universal law does not discriminate. You know, the colors that you mix, that make other colors, it always works. Every single time. Not if it's a Crayola as opposed to the cheap crayon from the dollar store. It's still going to make the same color when you mix those two. So it really doesn't matter. There is no God in the clouds that we need to subjugate ourselves to. Universal law does not discriminate. So, if universal law doesn't discriminate, and it says yes to our every thought, and we keep believing a negative, false thought about our life, what do you think the universe says? It says yes. It says go for it. So if I'm telling myself something, if I'm having an experience that doesn't feel comfortable for me, or that I don't really like, and if I'm telling myself that I'm having this experience because I'm blank, 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 whether it's I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or whatever I'm telling myself, or I'm a loser, or nobody likes me, well, what do you think? What do you think the law that doesn't discriminate is going to do? It's going to bring people into our lives that don't like me. It's going to bring people into your life that's going to prove that you're not lovable. I'm pretty sure I bet you're following me. I know you're getting my gist. So, as that happens, we are constantly guided, and usually it's through pain. I love it when I'm guided through joy. I love it. I'm so grateful for it. I want more of it. Yet sometimes those dreams that are waiting for us to be true, we know this stuff. I was working with someone very close and near and dear to me this week that says, I know this stuff. You don't need to tell me this. Well, I'm thinking, if there's a big difference between knowing and applying now, isn't it? It's the thirst. You can lead a metaphysician to water, but you can't make them thirsty. So we're walking along our path here, that the whole point is to express the divine. We're the divine in expression. That's why we were created. We were created to have joy and to pick purple and to ride horses and to do all of the beautiful, wonderful things that we do to express ourselves. That's what we were created for, to express God in physical form, in action. So we're walking along our path, expressing God. And as Dr. Ken had said at Asilomar, when we get off our path, there's thorns and there's briars and there's brambles and we step on them and it causes us pain. Well, there's a reason for that. Thank God for the pain, because the pain is extremely adequate and forceful to cause us to wake up back to the truth, to wake up back to the divinity that we are. To realize that when we start working on our own authentic selves, our actions will be based on the truth of our being and not in fear. It's all about love. It's all about God. I know you hear that almost every single Sunday here. It's all about love. It's like an equation. We break it down. We figure it out. We got the whiteboard. No matter what, it always comes down to love. So if you've got something going on, and if you're telling yourself a story and you're having a reoccurring thought, if it's about fear, it's man-made. Just know that. It's the little mind, the small mind, not the big mind. If it's about love, it's about God. It's the divinity expressing. An ego-based life is fear-based. It's not the truth of life. I believe to pick out the idea of love each and every time is the key and the secret to life. We know that for every cause, there is an effect. Everything is energy, and anytime energy moves, there is a different effect of it. The law works consistently, constantly, and always. And this is not new. This has been talked about and written about and sung about and danced about before they even had words and letters to write. You know, through Pythagoras and Plato and way back then. That it's the same as all of the other laws that we know about, just like gravity. It shows up just like gravity. The law of mind happens by planting a thought in mind, and it creates an effect. You know, one of my favorite quotes of Ernest Holmes ever is, the answer to the prayer is in the prayer. And that's just another way to show and explain what he's talking about here in this chapter, the thing itself. The answer is always in what it is that you state. It's always going to be what you get every single time. But what is prayer? Prayer is a movement of thought within the mind of the one praying along a definite line of meditation. That is, for a specific purpose. Yet prayer is also everything that we say, everything that we think. Everything that you think is a prayer. Are you doing affirmative spiritual mind treatment, or are you doing world treatment? Are you thinking consciously, or are you thinking unconsciously? Because whatever it is that you're thinking, it's a prayer. It is manifesting for yourself. I believe that you have to see yourself moving into the direction that you desire, and you have to act as if. Now, I know that circumstances can occur in our lives. You know, like I said, thank God for the pain, because it wakes us up. Maybe reminds us that what we're looking at, what we're subscribing to, might not necessarily be what we want on the cover of that magazine. And so it gives us the opportunity to have another thought. Allow yourself to feel the vibration of the new experience that you'd like to have. You know, another reason why I think that it can be I don't even know what word to give it, a chore, why it can be such an effort sometimes to have a different thought and then stay with it, it's because it takes effort. It'd be so much easier if we could just let somebody else do that for us, huh? Maybe like a computer program. Can we program that stuff in and then just hit the enter key and let the code produce what it is that we want? Well, we kind of can through our spiritual practices, through our meditation, through our daily practice of prayer, or through other elements that we use to commune with the divine. Some people feel going in nature is like that, or fishing, or doing yoga. Yet what if we didn't do those things? What are you leaving it up to? You're leaving it up to universal world mind, not a spiritual mind treatment. So I invite you to check yourself throughout the day. You know, some people have the thought of setting an alarm on your cell phone throughout the day. And just as a trick, just as a test, why not give it a try this week? 3 different times out of the day, every day. Have your alarm go off random times, and then as soon as it goes off, notice what you were thinking about. Just take a little test, take a little check-in. What were you thinking about? Are you subscribing to what you want on the picture? Are you subscribing to what you want on the picture and cover of that magazine? We needed a little adjustment in lighting. The universe supports me in every way. I love it. Now, if I said makeup, please, would somebody come and, I don't know. This chapter is also about learning how to take responsibility. It's just like when I asked you to do the alarm on your cell phone. You know, there's effort in taking responsibility. We have to be willing to say, yes, I am going to be responsible for what it is that's showing up in my life, knowing that I am the complete and total creator of that. We have the power to create. We do it all the time. And sometimes we create illusions and believe they are real, especially if you're experiencing anything less than perfection. Whatever it is that's going on in your life right here, right now, you created it. And if you created it, you can uncreate it. It's just like Bill Cosby. Love that man. In his comedy skit, he would always talk about his children, especially his son. And he'd say to him, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. Right. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do when we look at those conditions. They're conditions, they're effects. They have no power and control over us. Do you know why? Because they've already been created through the thought. They've already gone through the creative process. They're just a little measly effect now. We can take it out. We can dissolve it. We can minimalize it and make it completely go away by replacing it with another thought, with another creation. Decide what you want to be right about in your life. Do you want to be right about your illusions, or do you want to be right about your perfection? Because you can get caught in a trap. It's a trap. You fall into the blame game. And it's not really, you know, we're taught this. A lot of us were taught this from the early Bible days. You know, you fall into the blame game back in that one chapter where, you know, God's getting ready to throw them out of the garden. And he's like, why did you eat the apple? And Adam's like, Eve made me eat it. God's like, why did you eat the apple? Well, the snake made me eat it. You know, that's not going to work. That's just not going to work. So they got thrown out of the garden. Dr. J. Scott Neal says it's the best darn thing that ever happened to us is getting thrown out of that garden. You know why? Because we're not subjected to somebody saying, why did you do that? We can't say, Eve made me do it. We can't say the snake made me do it. We got to realize and say, that was a choice. And now I can make a different choice. Thank you, God. So we penalize ourselves based on our own belief systems, our thoughts, our energies, our attitudes, what we put out into the world. We are the judger. We are the praiser. We're the judger. We're the praiser. You want to be right about your illusions, or you want to be right about your perfection? You're going to be right no matter what. It's just, what do you want to be right about? This wonderful, wonderful teaching that we have, it reacts in perfection to your belief. If you think and this is the beautiful part. Let's put it this way. This is another little twist on it. Think of it like this. Let's say you've gotten connected with yourself and you want to go do good, and you're going to do good, and you're thinking to yourself, my end result is going to be good because God would love it. And it's going to show up as good, and I'm going to feel good about it because God would love it, and I'm here to please that which I believe is God. But then, of course, if you've got this little voice in the back of your head that says, yeah, but you know that's not going to work out because you know that you're just doing it because God's going to love it and it's not really what's true in your heart, then what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to turn out all that great. It's whatever you believe. There is no God outside of you that's judging and praising and handing out awards and handing out gift certificates based on what you do. It's only you. It's not thinking about oneness, it's thinking as oneness thinks. It's thinking as oneness thinks. So go confidently into the direction of your dreams. Live the life that you have imagined. The power within you cannot say no. It is the thing itself. It says yes. And if it's going to say yes, don't you think we need to pay more attention to what we're thinking all day long? Don't you think we're worth that? And don't you think that that's what it might come down to in the long run, between being dragged by the bumper or being in the limousine? It's your decision. If you think that that's all you're worth, you're going to be dragged along the bumper. But when you think as oneness thinks, as you step into that, it's just like thinking as the driver. If you think as oneness thinks, oneness knows that you are perfect and beautiful and divine and magical and powerful and succulent and juicy and incredible. And the inside of the limo is probably not even fine enough for the beauty that you are. So think as oneness thinks, and you won't choose the bumper anymore. You won't need to go through that anymore. And then we come up on other things and ways that we outpicture and show in our life. If you're a complainer, if you go around and you fill your life with things to complain about. I had a friend that's job was quality control. And so her job was to constantly find things that didn't match what was considered by her employer to be perfect. So she, for many, many years, was trained to look for the imperfections. So you can imagine she liked to take that into all of her life, every area of her life. Anything that did not look like it was perfect according to her design and decree, she'd complain about it. Well, that all that meant is she attracted into her life many opportunities to find imperfections. I know that you see how this works, right? I know you do. So you know how to put this in action. You know how to have control over your circumstances. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results, if you look that up in Webster, it's going to say that's the definition of insanity. According to Dr. Ernest Holmes and the thing itself, it's the definition of misusing the law. You're just simply misusing the law. Because we know we can't think something over and over again and expect a different result. We can't do something over and over again and expect a different result. I can't eat whatever I want, anytime I want, and any volume I want, and expect to lose weight. I just can't do that. There's a law there. There's a law of energy taking place. It's called calories. I would love it if that wasn't so, but it's not. Calories in equals calories out, and if it doesn't equal, it's got to go somewhere. So it always comes down to love. The pain that we have are the wake-up calls that says, come on, Julie, clear your mind. Get back on track. Get back on the path. Think as oneness. You know better. You have the divine, right, infinite intelligence within you. Go ahead. Take it on. It comes a time when it becomes necessary for us to be able to change the experiences of our lives by understanding the power that is usable by us. By communicating with it, by communicating with our higher self, spiritual mind treatment is in reality self-communication. That's what it's all about. Wake up, get a new idea, enforce that new idea, and apply it to the world around you. That's how the teaching and that's how the thing itself operates and works. You are the thing itself. The divine is the thing itself. The thought that creates the effect is the thing itself. The answer to the prayer is in the prayer. The system of our lives works in perfection just like the rest of the universe. The truth of who you are will go on forever. You are the living individualization of the divine, intelligence itself, made form and manifest. Excuse me. And so I invite you to picture your magazine cover, recognizing and realizing that the only point of power is in this very moment. 2 minutes ago is gone. Yesterday is gone, and last year is gone. The only power it holds over you is the power that you think about it in this moment. And so picture the cover of the magazine. Picture the dreams that are waiting for you to come true. And then go within, knowing that you are the divine expressing in physical form. Have the courage to touch in with your heart and recognize your truth. Because your dreams are waiting for it. And they're always going to be there. They're always going to be there. So when you find yourself being dragged along the bumper, if you find yourself stepping on the thorns, go ahead. Excuse me. Go ahead and realize it has no power. It has no power over you. It is already in effect. You have the point of power in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. The last paragraph, Maureen, the last paragraph in the thing itself sums it up beautifully, and I'd like for Maureen to read it because I cannot. It's right there.
This one?
No, right there.
If we try to find something difficult to grasp, then we shall never grasp it, because we shall always think of it as being incomprehensible. The mind which we discover within us is the mind that governs everything. It is the thing itself, and we should recognize its simplicity.
So the mind that we discover is within us. And it is that same mind that governs everything. And we should recognize its simplicity. So use it. Use it. And if you get off the path, sign up for a class, come to center, get a spiritual mind treatment, go to yoga, go fishing, go do whatever it is that you know is the truth within you that brings you back to the point and center, because you're worth it. Thank you.